The Indianapolis Colts made a shocking move as they released the first unofficial depth chart of the 2025-2026 NFL season ahead of the first preseason game against the Baltimore Ravens. We're going to cover all that and more, covering the position groups, some key battles that we're looking for right now, and some ones that we hope to see resolved before the beginning of the season. What's going on? It's Elijah from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts every single day. And we've got some news coming out of training camp as we conclude this Monday going into Tuesday. This video will be released Tuesday morning. But there's quite a bit to cover here. And so we're going to go over all of the position groups one by one, including the key one that we're looking at. But first off, we're going to go through some of the more basic ones, right? So the left tackle, with no surprise at all, Bernard Raymond is obviously left tackle one. Quentin Nelson, obviously left guard. And the center, which is one of the ones that we kind of saw maybe going back and forth, is going to be Tanner Bortolini, who was the rookie last season. This is kind of surprising, but not really, as he beat out Danny Pinter for the job. This is all going on. Who is going to replace Ryan Kelly? Who's going to take that battle? Who's going to win? And right now, it appears to be Tanner Bortolini. I like to see this. I've been a fan of this guy since the draft. I think he is a clear long-term answer at the center position for the Indianapolis Colts. I like this as a successor to Ryan Kelly. Moving on, Matt Gonzalez is obviously right guard one, beating out Dalton Tucker, who was the undrafted guy who signed in last year. I don't remember if he was undrafted or if he was just a free agent signing. Regardless, he was brought in, and then Braden Smith obviously being right tackle. Now here's where it kind of gets surprising as we go into the tight end. Tyler Warren listed as tight end one uncontested, which I think is worth noting, meaning that it's already done, it's already decided. But here's the rest of the list: Mo Alley-Cox, Drew Ogletree, Will Mallory, Jelani Woods making a comeback, hopefully to see some consistency out of him, Sean McKeon, and Maximilian Mang. And then going into wide receivers, this is kind of where I want to cover a little bit more too. Wide receiver one, Josh Downs on the one side, followed by Anthony Gould and Coleman Owen. That position is likely indicating the slot wide receiver. On the unofficial depth chart, it's just listed as wide receiver, but with it being Josh Downs and Anthony Gould, we assume that is to indicate the slot wide receiver position. And then here's where it kind of gets interesting. Wide receiver on the other side is Alec Pierce, Adonai Mitchell, DJ Montgomery, Blaine Taylor, and Landon Parker. Now, I'm sorry. There's another wide receiver group that was up before the left tackle, and that's obviously Michael Pittman Jr., Ashton Doolin, Laquan Treadwell, who was on the practice squad last season. Saw a lot of good things out of him in the preseason. Just it never come to fruition or anything. And then that is pretty much it. And then Tyler Common is on the other side. Likely not going to see much out of him. But here's where it gets interesting, because reports have come out of camp today saying that multiple teams have inquired about wide receiver Anthony Gould. The Colts have seemingly quite a bit of depth in this position, seeing if Adonai Mitchell does officially pan out and really is able to do what the Colts drafted him to do. And if he's able to kind of find some consistency, find some ground in this, I think Adonai Mitchell could be a really good wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4. And this is a pretty solid list. I mean, you've got Michael Pittman Jr., you've got Alec Pierce, who showed very, very good glimpses of what he can be and what I hope to see from him this season. But you also see Josh Downs, obviously, is being one of the premier slot wide receivers in the NFL. So that leaves, where does Anthony Gould lead into all of this? Obviously, the Colts drafted him. They like what they saw out of him. Kind of had some ball security issues last preseason. But it means that there is a kind of an opening, and there's a lot of teams seemingly very interested in this wide receiver. So the Colts could potentially move him or move on from him before the beginning of the season. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because the quarterbacks are listed Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson Sr., and then Riley Leonard and Jason Bean. I think that or is very, very interesting, because that means that we are likely going to see quite a bit of these two through the preseason. Now, a lot of quarterbacks, especially starting quarterbacks who have secured their jobs, won't play a whole lot in the preseason, maybe play one quarter or one drive or whatever. This is seemingly indicating that both Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson will continue to see split reps until one of these is listed as QB1. Running backs listed Jonathan Taylor, then Tyler Goodson, then DJ Giddens, then Khalil Herbert, Salvin Ahmed, still listed on this list, not officially on the practice squad yet, and then Ulysses Bentley the fourth. And then it is noted that Ahmed suffered a severe leg injury, but he has not been officially placed on any sort of injured list. Now we're moving over to the defense. Kwity Paye, Tyquan Lewis, and then Desmond Little, and then I cannot tell you how to pronounce this guy's name, but the edge tackle from Ohio State. I will learn how to pronounce his name before the next video, I promise you. Interesting though that he is listed third on the defensive end position. Going over to defensive tackle, with no surprise at all, DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, Neville Gallimore, and then from there, it's pretty much practice squad players. Devontae Davis, obviously. Big kind of move in the offseason was the moving on from Roquan Davis, who was one of the Colts' only free agent signings last year. Him and Joe Flacco no longer on the team, meaning that there are no long-term free agent signings made last season. Obviously, we hope that some of the guys signed this year will be long-term. So then the other defensive end side, Leatu Latu, Samson Ibukam, Darrell Chammy, and Isaiah Land. Isaiah Land making a comeback again this year. He was out of Oklahoma State last season. Now we're going into the wide linebacker, Cameron McGrone, Jalen Carleys, Austin Ajayk, and then Segun Alubu, and Solomon DeShields. So obviously big note is there Jalen Carleys, who, if you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you know that I've been very high on Jalen Carleys. Love to see him back this season. Middle linebacker is Zaire Franklin, Joe Bachie, Liam Anderson, and Jacob Phillips. No surprises there, nothing yet to note in that position group. The cornerback, Shadarius Ward, Juju Brents, Samuel Womack III, and Trey Herndon. Moving over to the free safety position, Tre'Davious Ward and Cameron Bynum being the two big signings this offseason the Colts were able to get from both the 49ers and the Vikings. I think these two guys are going to be really, really elite in this defense, and I think it's going to make guys like Kenny Moore, like Nick Cross, really, really thrive and excel, not having to carry the entire load. Samuel Womack also showed really good signs last season. Love to see him back on this team. Obviously, he was a big he was on the practice squad signing last year and made just a really, really good impact last season. Love to see it. Love to see him back. Obviously, we hope that Juju Brents has a really, really good season and is able to escape the injury bug. But moving on to the free safety position, Cameron Bynum, again, that big signing, Rodney Thomas II, and Trey Washington. Trey Washington, again, is a name to note, as he was the one that made the hip drop tackle yesterday against Salvin Ahmed. Strong safety, Nick Cross, again, bouncing back from a really, really good season last year. Hunter Wohler and Daniel Scott. The nickel corner is Kenny Moore, Alex Johnson, Ladarius Tennyson, and Chris Lamons. And then finally, the cornerback position is going to be Justin Wally, Jalen Jones, Jonathan Edwards, and Duke Shelley. Now, here's the thing to note with two of these is that Brents and Jones have both been held out of training camp right now, recently due to both having hamstring injuries. We hope to see them back soon, but we have no official report on when that is or what that's going to look like. Now, here is kind of the interesting note, and that is the punter is Rigoberto Sanchez, to no surprise at all. But here's where it gets interesting. Place kicker is Spencer Schrader, who we saw last preseason looked really, really good. And we saw last season a couple times as Matt Gay was injured. I think this is going to be a really good, pickup again from the Indianapolis Colts, who brought him back this season. And then Maddox Trujillo, and it appears right now as though Spencer Schrader has that position locked down. He looks really good and looks like he is going to be the guy moving forward. And then holder Rigoberto Sanchez, long snapper, is Luke Rose, who is one of the premier long snappers in the league. That is something to note, is that the Indianapolis Colts have had Luke Rhodes for several seasons, have locked him down as their long snapper. And again, it might not seem like a big deal, but when you have a guy who's consistent every single week, week in and week out, like Luke Rhodes has been, it's good to keep him along. Kick returner and punt returner Anthony Gould is both listed as the first in both of those positions. Kick returner second is Ashton Dulin. Tyler Goodson and DJ Montgomery. Interesting note here is that Josh Downs is not listed at the kick return position, but is listed second as the punt returner behind Anthony Gould, followed by Coleman Owen. Now, there's a lot we just covered there in the depth chart, the unofficial depth chart released before the season. What surprised you? What stuck out the most to you? And what do you hope to see going forward? Obviously, big position battles like the running back 2 position, Tyler Goodson, Khalil Herbert, DJ Giddens. Who's going to come out on top there behind Jonathan Taylor? What's that going to look like? Who's going to win the quarterback 1 battle? We are going to cover all of that and more as we continue on throughout this season. But for now, we'll see you on the next one.